Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. Hey, before we get started in the show, I just want to say thank you to our newest sponsor, Emergo Academy. Dave and Susan Kenny, they are out of Canada. They're actually my coaches, but they're also the ones that trained me to be an international certified crisis and recovery coach. But let me tell you something about these guys. It's totally, totally different. They're all about the brain first approach. This is what I love about it because I was never interested in being a coach until I met these guys. And then when I learned that it was a brain first approach, I always felt too that when my past wife was battling her addiction, she was battling something within inside of herself. The rest is just a band-aid. As I've been in the recovery community a lot more, that is actually really what it is. Most people who are battling addiction, it doesn't matter what the addiction is, we use that as a band-aid to help keep our minds occupied or to numb ourselves from feelings that we don't want to feel. The training that these guys did with me has helped me in my everyday life. It is really, really amazing. So if you guys aren't even looking at wanting to become a coach, I would still highly recommend hiring Dave and Susan Kenny from Emergo Academy just to get some training from them because it will change your life, guarantee it. So check them out, Emergo, Emergo Academy.com. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Hey, I am honored to have our guest today. We got Sabin, and Sabin and I was introduced by an acquaintance of ours, and we sat down and had coffee, and we just sat and chatted for about an hour. Sabin's doing some really incredible stuff. I have not even known this man maybe 4 months, 5 months, and I feel like I've known him all my life. It's just one of
Oh,
those
thanks.
connections,
Thank
and
you.
you know, we're going to touch a little bit on mental health, but it may go somewhere else a little bit different. But Sabin, before we get started, again, thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us today. And let our listeners know a little bit about you.
Okay, I am a really weird artist. And here's why I'm weird because I'm not about like shock value or like doing something that's like never been done before. Um, my background is I'm half Italian. I grew up in Italy and I grew up in New York City in the 60s. So my hard drive and my mental makeup is uh, very traditional. I grew up in the visual splendor of Europe as a little kid, and then I come to New York in 1966 after I'm 3 years old, and that was like a very raw place. It's a Vietnam War, very ugly, a lot of protests, march, um, but there's a think outside the box place too going on, and so it's like there's so that's basically what made me. It's like the visual splendor of Italy and think outside the box. And so then I didn't come to art till I was 19. I couldn't draw. My girlfriend back then was she was like, I can draw better than you. You're never going to get in art school. Well, she's my ex now. And, so now we are 42 years later, and I finished last year the National World War I Memorial, which is the largest freestanding relief that's figurative in the United States, and it's 150 yards from the White House. And we'll get to it, but uh, I got a commission, and the commission was from God, and it was uh, no, we got in a van, my wife and I, on March of this year, March 14th, 11th to be precise, and we drove across country to Salt Lake, and I will be making the largest monument in our country behind the Capitol um, for our country's 250th birthday. We're that's what we're gonna talk about a little bit. But I think my life has not been um, spelled out. It's like I have to make my own structure as an artist. You have to really come to everything in a very creative fashion, and it's problem solving at the maximum with huge pressure. And that's been my voyage, and I'm really happy to share it with you, Al, today.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for doing that. And when we first met, you brought some pictures of the one that you talked about that's in Washington, D.C. And
Yeah.
I was just in awe,
Oh,
in
thank
all
you.
honesty. And it was just because of the detail that was in every little piece of it. I mean, I've seen monuments, not real big ones, but little teeny ones before. But um, nothing that has all the detail that you have. Is that basically, before we really get into things, is that basically really where the pressure comes in, is making sure that it looks as detailed as possible?
Um, well, that's a loaded question. I have 80,000 hours, 80,000. So you're supposed to get mastery 10,000. So I got 80,000. So I don't know what the F that makes me. uh, of looking at life models and translating that life model, like a human being, into a sculpture. And so I really have worked on my craft. And it's an evolution. It's not like you stay still. It's like I'm constantly growing. And I think the really fascinating thing about this thing I made, I'm not patting myself on the back because I could always do better. Um, it's called A Soldier's Journey. It has 38 figures. It weighs 25 tons, and it took us 9.5 years. And um, it's probably um, one of the largest, I guess, classical sculptures in the world today. And um, when I won this project, because there were 360 global teams that applied, and then myself and my wife and our team, um, we had to go into the project. We had to get through the DC bureaucracy, which is like agency approval. That's like that's like talk about the swamp. It's so appropriate, that title. We got through that in 4 years, and then I was able to make the sculpture after all the planning stuff and all the bureaucracy. But we went through COVID to make the sculpture, and my wife actually made a documentary. It's called Heroic that will be coming out at some point soon. Um, but I think what we can really chat about is like, what do you do when you have a vision, but nobody's done it before, and how do you create, like, it's not only like the physicality of how do you make it, how do you wrap your head around the mental aspect of dealing with the unknown? And I think this is a really big deal because you're dealing with a couple things that I think are for all human beings. You have suffering, you have courage, and you have fear. And then so those are elements that we have in the human condition. And it's like, so the project itself makes you come face to face with your deepest, darkest fears, especially when there's like deadlines and you're working with a lot of people and you have a team and you have to get to the end zone. And you cannot fail because bear in mind, this is a national memorial. So if you um, there is no if. The only option is success. And I'm saying that because a national memorial is representative of our country. So it has to be something spectacular because we live in a really spectacular country.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And I got to be a part of one of the photo shoots. I mean, I got to sit in the back and watch the photo shoot and kind of see how focused you had to be, right? To make sure things were, I guess, really where you needed them to be because of wanting to make this so amazing. And it was really cool to see. And I can understand the mental aspect of it because,
Yes.
you know, I think for the majority of us, we have something in mind, whether it's a dream or whether it's a goal or maybe a change of career or whatever. And that damn word fear stops so many people from
Yes.
going forward because of that they don't know what to expect, right?
That's
We're
right.
not comfortable where we're at, but we're willing to stay uncomfortable where we're at because of the unknown. And that's kind of what you say, and just hear a little bit. It's that unknown of where is this really going to go and how's it going to turn out?
Yeah. I believe I'm going to make a lot of analogies tonight about like athletics and sports and how they are a great training place for what happens actually in your real life. I'm going to give an example. If you go to the gym and you're going to do a bench press, it's called resistance training. And so to push the weight up off your chest, you have to push. That's why it's called resistance. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, the greater you can deal with the pain. And that's exactly the same way that life has been for me. it's like incremental steps. It's like you don't get to like, over here until you go through all these steps to get there. And I think what you just said about fear, I think is really important. I think a lot of people are so afraid to be in that uncomfortable place that they won't get in it at all. And then it actually turns out to be worse staying where they are in the status quo rather than challenging themselves to go, okay, now I'm going to step into the unknown. And ultimately, really, the human condition is the unknown because you don't know what will happen to you even in the next 24 hours. I mean, it's this is the scariest thing. Let's just bring up something that happened out here in Salt Lake in at UVU a month ago with Charlie Kirk. Did he know when he stepped on that stage that a bullet was going to hit him and that was the last second of his life? No. And I mean, I'm making a dramatic example here, but we do not know what the future holds for us. And I think the more that you step into the void and you deal with your demons, the more you will be ready for, the moment that you do meet your maker. If you have that, moment, and sometimes you don't have that moment. It just happens and you don't even know that it happened. So I think to step into the void is something that human beings have um, need to continue doing. And I think one of the problems that I have seen in our society is there's sterilization of the human condition. It's like, let's just get rid of all our pain. And so that means that you hand over all the power that you have as a human being with the God-given gift of life to someone else. So you give away your responsibility for your life to someone else. So now you are disempowered. And I'm very averse to that way of living. I believe that, sky is the limit and you are going to go through some stuff to get there. But the joy is the process and it's the obstacle is the way. And I know these are cliches that have been said many, many times, but I don't know how else to say it. It's like if the obstacle makes you who you are. That's what it comes down to.
No, and I agree with you, Sabin, on that 100%. I did a post a couple months ago of I was just kind of down that day and took off, went and washed my truck, and then decided to go to Murray Park and sit down next to the river and just kind of relax and gather my thoughts together. And I happened to look over to my right and I noticed these big, huge trunks coming out from these slabs of concrete. There was 6 slabs, all
Oh,
4 inches thick, and at one time they were piled on top of each other. But now the tree has grown so big, it's lifted these slabs up. And I mean, these trunks were, this big around. And I wanted to hurry and get home because I wanted to get on the computer and write about this, right? Because it's like it reminded me of what I've gone through in my life, especially just recently this year, with losing a leg and then losing a spouse and you know, um, going off of what you just said, we have to really go through the darkness to find that light. And
yes.
that's where our strength comes from.
Yeah.
And I also like to use the analogy that, buffalo, when they're out on the plain and there's a storm coming, there's a lead buffalo that gets the herd together and they walk into the storm. They go towards it. And the
Yeah.
reason why they do that, because it gets them through it quicker. Because
Yeah.
as they try moving away from the storm's going to catch up with them eventually, and they're going to continue to move with the storm. So when they're in the storm a lot longer, kind of going back of what you said, where we would rather just kind of stay there and
Yeah.
be unhappy because of the fear of moving forward. Just imagine, Sabin, when we were babies, we didn't know how to crawl. We didn't know how to walk. We couldn't even roll over, right? And then we get to a point where we roll over. Then we get to a point when we're all fours. Then we get to where we're crawling. Then we finally take that chance and we stand up. And I doubt there is a baby who has ever been born that did not fall and knock their head or split a lip open or a chin open
Of
or
course.
whatever, right? But did that
Right.
stop us? If that stopped us, we'd all be crawling still because
Yeah.
of the fear of it hurt when we got up and tried to walk.
Yeah.
Then we become adults or we start growing up, the world outside of us our brain starts gathering in all this information. Then all of a sudden, we're just scared now
Yeah.
to do something different. And I'm going through this right now with my training about how the brain works. It protects us, our subconscious
Yes.
protects us, right? It stores data and tells us stories. So when something happens to us, we go, oh, wait, the brain goes, wait a minute, wait a minute. Something like this has happened before. Okay, this is your thought. This is what you need to think, right? So we think this thought.
Yeah.
It's there to protect us, but in all reality, and I have just learned this in the last week and a half, it's hurting us
Yeah.
because it's keeping us from
Stasis keeps
changing
us
the
in,
story.
yeah, keeps
Yeah.
you in stasis. I I'm a very regimented artist. I work from 8:30 8 till 5, 5:30. And then I have my own addictions, but I'm gonna say they're positive addictions. Um, I use a bicycle at the end of the day or the first thing in the morning, where I get on the bike for about an hour and a half, and I always try to make it as, challenging and difficult, meaning I don't stay on the flats. I'm always climbing with it and going into a zone where you're uncomfortable because you surrender to the discomfort on the bike. And what the bike does, it has a tremendous amount of chemicals reaction because of the physicality. That makes you have a sense of well-being, and you release a lot of the stress and the toxicity of how your thought process hits these loops. And sometimes those loops are very negative, and those loops are you can't do, you can't. And this breaks it because the fatigue of doing the exertion cleans your mind, and it expands your vision, so you stop doing this tunnel myopic vision and you start to expand your vision, because as your head moves around and you see all these things, it changes your psychology. And so I've used that to get through these they're very difficult, challenging moments in my creative process. I mean, imagine, I just give an example. It's like, okay, each figure, there are 38 of them, and I have 4.5 years to do this, and I don't have an extra day. That's it. I got a deadline. And I got to get all 38 done. And the average time per figure is 650 hours per figure. And the figures are very dynamic, and each one is an individual being with an individual gesture, an individual body type, and each one tells a story within a larger story of this whole soldier's journey. So I got to get through that. And that means I got to show up every day at work, and I can't be like, oh, I don't feel like it. So one day on a Sunday afternoon, I go around a curve and there was some gravel. And guess what? I go
Yeah.
down really hard. I'm going 25 miles an hour and I break my clavicle. And luckily, it was my left arm. Monday morning comes, I'm in the shop, and I worked anyway. Luckily, I could do most everything. I couldn't move my hand up or down the left side, but most of the effort was with the right. My lips, my wife said, were white because the pain was so bad, but it was just like, keep moving, keep moving. And that's the trick. You keep moving forward towards the vision, towards the goal. So we're not here on the planet to have happiness. No, we're not. And some people might be like, "Oh, I'm turning this off now." We're here to have a purpose. And you get a purpose, and you got a reason to get up out of bed every day. And that's why I really liked talking with you when I met you, because you got a purpose, Al. And now your purpose got even bigger when you lost, your wife and you lost your leg. Now you have this massive purpose. It gives you greater commitment to what your vision is. And I think it's a negative, but you took it and you made it into a positive, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, it was, and not saying we don't have our rough moments, right? Because
Right,
that's part of being human.
right,
We still have those days where we're down and where we're frustrated or where we're feeling sorry for ourselves.
right.
However, I think individuals like you and I and some other friends of mine, because they've helped teach me as well, that we allow our feelings to go through their course.
Yes.
And then as soon as they get through cycling, then we're like, let's go. Time to go again,
Gotta
right?
go. You gotta go.
It's time to
Move.
get up and move. Yeah, time to
Yeah.
get up and
Move.
move. And I love that you talked about the bike. I get up in the mornings and I go to the gym. And I've been doing a consistency for about 14 years now. And I'm proud of that to
Yeah.
be my age and to be that consistent. But
Right.
it's true what you say. I don't have to come up with all the details and stuff like what you have, right? And I don't have a deadline and all this other pressure. However, I get some of my best ideas when I'm at the gym in the morning because my head is clear, it's
You're
clean.
cleared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so amazing. I could be there doing curls or doing lifts or benching or doing ab workout, whatever. All of a sudden, this idea just pops in my head, and it's like, man, where the hell did this come from? Why didn't I think of this before? But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
because again, I'm freshly rested, and then my mind is nice and clear. It hasn't been polluted yet because I haven't got out in the world yet.
Right. It's the exchange of energy with that you have to, it's part of being a human being. We don't live in a cave. We're interacting with all these things all day long. Yeah. I think this is a very big thing that you just said also. It's like pity. Pity is our enemy because it's like, oh, poor me. And it's this victimization that when
Mm,
you move into this space of like, I am a victim of the circumstances. Let's back up a second. Let's not use that sort of phrase. That's what I do. I will catch myself. Oh yeah. No, you freaking put yourself here. This was your choice. You put yourself in this moment. Now just proceed. You can't blame anyone, and that's self-responsibility and agency. And the reason I'm bringing up and moving the subject into that is like, okay, I had finished the National World War I Memorial in DC, and we unveiled on September 13th. And I thought, well, wow, now everybody's going to be calling me up and knocking on my door, and I'm never going to go back to like the way life was. I mean, my studio was in the South Bronx and East Harlem for 25 years. So it's like I haven't had like a pretty life per se. A lot of great things too, but there has been a large amount of challenge and problems to continue to move forward and always get better at your craft and make art that's better than the last piece. So I get completed and I'm like, okay, this is going to be great. I don't have to go back. But no, God had different intentions for me. It was like, you're not done yet, bro. So we get around to like, the elections were going on last fall, and a lot of people's minds were on that, and nobody's thinking about making monuments. So I was like, all right, we got our country's birthday coming up next year, July 4th. I'm going to come up with an idea for my country that's in service of my country. I'm going to make a monument that talks about a philosophy of its history, not the history, but a philosophy of its history that are about agency, self-responsibility, and manifesting your vision. And so I came up and I've continued to work through till this moment today, right now, with this monument. It's 60 feet wide, it's 40 feet high, it has 53 figures, and it's three times the scale of what I did in Washington. Well, 2 weeks ago, I met with Governor Cox in his office, and Governor Cox said to me, I have prayed for a project like this to show up, and I will move mountains to make this happen. Governor Cox put up that building behind the Capitol. It was $300 million. He did that in 2 years. So now we're moving into the next phase, which is like, how do you actually make this dream, this vision, come into reality so that there's a contract and you get paid so you can pay all these other people so that you can cast it and so you can install it. And we're going to install it um, as long as we start by next summer, just before the Olympics come in 34. And there will be an eternal flame there to represent the freedom that will always burn in this country. And that is where I believe the Olympics torch will begin and travel to the Olympic Stadium. That is my dream and my vision.
wow. Well, that's a hell of a dream and a vision, and I love that. And I mean, when we sat down and you asked if I'd like to be a part of it, I was flipping just honored.
Yeah.
I was like, my gosh, are you serious? This guy's asking me be a part of his dream, right? Because that's what I'm looking at. It's, Sabin's got a dream and he's asking me and other people if we would like to be a part of that dream. And I mean, literally, I don't know if you noticed, but I got tears in my eyes when you asked
Yeah.
me that because I felt so honored
Yeah.
to be a part of somebody's dream.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
really
you.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I learned on the last project, the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway was to be in service of. And not to become too didactic here, but the whole idea of trying to do things alone, like to believe that you are a isolated incident in the universe or in time and space, it's just complete BS. It's like you have an energetic lineage to your past and history that extends way, way back. And whatever you do in your lifetime will affect what the kids and the people around you as they proceed into the future. So you're part of a time-space continuum that is this means that you are belonging already there. We haven't even entered into the concept of God, but just there, in terms of time space, you belong to something way bigger than yourself. And that's the definition of sacred. So human beings are made, and I know this very, very well, that we are made in God's image. We're way too complicated to be, you know, chaotic occurrence. This is too well designed. There are too many different modalities of systems within the body and how complicated the body is. I mean, even your leg and how it's regenerating itself and how your body is accommodating. It's incredible. And we're not even talking about the microscopic level. We're just talking about the external stuff. It's just, there's no way. And there's so many symptoms of something larger designing and organizing this divine order of how the universe is put together. And this is where I come to my art from. I live in a world of modernists, and the modernists are, there is no God, there is only, this thing that we're all alienated and isolated. Yeah, that's because you made that up in your own head. But whenever you come to it and you come to God, you'll see that you're not alone and you belong to something way larger than yourself. You're going to be in a lot better space. And so the project that I did is very much in discussion of that with the shell-shocked figure in the World War I memorial. He's the only guy who's not connected to all the other figures. And he's walking right off the platform, the plinth, and looking directly at the viewer. And he is that alienated being that happened because of World War I. 22 million people die. So I finished that project, and now we're going to take that and go to the next level. And this next level sculpture is called the Grand Liberty Arch. And I'm very excited. I came to Salt Lake with the intention of making it, and I'm going to make it. And it's like, people would say, like, well, why do you put all your eggs in one basket? And I'm like, because there is no plan B. And that's the only way things succeed, because there is no other option but success. And that's it. So I think if you go to your life with that kind of attitude, you're going to end up in a better place than if you go, oh man, what if, what if, what if? And that fear factor keeps coming up. And that's like, now you put yourself in prison, because basically you're in prison anyway as a human being. You might as well pick your prison. That's what I'm saying. Pick your prison. Don't let someone else pick your prison for you.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I love how you put that. And I love that you even brought up the victim mentality, right? Because we do that. I mean, I've done that the majority of my life until it was really brought to my attention. It was through my training, from Dave and Susan Kenny. And they sent all their students the book, The Power of Ted. And I tell you what, that is an amazing book. It's in a story form, but it really got me thinking. And I've played the victim the majority of my life. But again, that's how outside society trains us. We get all this coming from all different directions, right? Parents or church leaders or teachers or friends, and it's no fault of theirs. It's just because that's how they've had it too, right? And yeah, when you stop playing the victim and you open your mind, and now I'm really pushing is years ago, well, not years, but probably about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I finally found my why. Here I was 4 years ago, almost in my 60s, and I'm in my 60s now. It took me this long, but what you said about how life is, I feel my version is our lives are
Yeah.
so perfectly script. Now, God gives us these choices, right? We could choose a wrong choice. However, the good thing about that is he always gives us choices again to go back to the different choice, right? We're never stuck where we're at.
There is no wrong choice.
There is no wrong choice,
It's
and
all a learning thing. It's all
yeah,
about learning and then going to the higher consciousness.
absolutely. I was telling a friend a couple of months ago, I says, isn't it really cool that life isn't like baseball? He's like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, baseball, you're up to get a hit, right? You get three strikes, you're out. You're done. You go back to the bench and sit down. I said, we could have strike after strike after strike after strike after strike after strike in our life, and we still are giving that opportunity to change.
Yeah.
Whether we had to change our swing so we could hit the ball, or we had to change our stance, or we had
Yeah.
to change our way of thinking what the pitchers, I mean, there's so many outside things. And when we start opening our vision and we really start paying attention to what our thoughts are and figuring out what our why, because I can't say I know this for a fact because I'm not God, but I do have a very good feeling that we all have our purpose. We all have a why. And some of us never find our way. We go to our grave still searching for it. And some of us don't even try because of what we talked about at the beginning of the show, because we're too afraid to
Yeah.
step in that mud puddle,
Yeah.
to see where it's going to go.
What's the worst? It's like striking out is, and let's say that's the failure in baseball. Okay. What is the failure in life? The failure in life is not coming back to the plate and swinging again. That's what
Absolutely.
failure is. And I have failed so many times. In fact, every day when I sculpt and I'm on a project, every day at the end of the day, because I'm so exhausted, I've given so much energy and everything that I have to emotionally and physically to molding that sculpture that I always leave feeling like a failure, like I messed up. And then the thing is, you go home and you do the mental work so you don't do the pity party and you don't do the victim. And don't I fall into it. Some days are better than others, but next day you wake up, here we go again. Let's go. And that let's go is let's go back and swing at that ball again. And then you might have thought as you slept, your unconscious mind may have worked through the problem so you know how to solve them that next day. And here's the thing, if you show up every day, I can verify this. If you show up every day and you give it your all, you don't hold back, you will succeed. It's a guarantee. I guarantee it. And I am not this highly skilled artist everybody says I am. I think differently of myself. I think my perseverance is off the charts. And that's what got me to where I am today. And that's what will get the Grand Liberty Arch completed. Because there's nobody in the United States that came up with this kind of project that's this big and gives back to its community in such a huge and important way. I'm going to establish the history of our country again with young children so that they can play forward into the next generation and have pride in being Americans.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing.
I love it. And I love that you said we still have that opportunity to get back up to the plate and
That's
keep
right.
swinging, you
Yeah.
know. I've got done some public speaking, and I've done a few since my leg amputation. And one of the ones I was doing at my buddy's real estate place, and he calls this his little meeting that he has where he invites people to come and speak, the secret sauce. And it's just not, it's just the secret sauce about certain individuals that work their way through whatever they're going through, and I fell into my pity party as well, right? I'd wake
We
up in
all
the
do.
morning and look down and I'm missing a part of me,
Yeah.
right? And I'd be there crying, and and however, I knew that I needed to do something so I did not stay stuck there.
Yeah.
And I said to a guest, or a host interviewed me on one of their shows. And I said, well, I don't want to toot my own horn. And this guest corrected me. She goes, no, you do toot your own damn horn. because you should be proud of what you go through. So toot your horn, toot it loud, right? And
What was it that got you through, got you out of pity and into like, okay, let's go modality. What was it like?
it was that mind of not wanting to play the victim, where I have played the majority of my life.
Did you pray to Christ? Did you
Oh,
pray to God?
I prayed a lot. I prayed a lot.
Well,
And
how does can I ask? I mean, I'm just really curious.
yeah.
What was what was a prayer? What was kind of prayer did you ask God and Christ of? What were your
Well,
questions?
when I first heard I was going to lose my leg, right? My brain was telling me, okay, I'm going to think positive. I'm not going to lose my leg. But with me praying and me feeling close to my spiritual side of things, I called it my Holy Spirit was telling me, just be prepared. That's all it would say. It wouldn't say, no, you're losing your leg. Stop saying it. Just be prepared. And when that time came, the day I lost my leg, it's like I was telling my daughter, um, I felt so at peace, Sabin. So, see, I get emotional thinking about it. I was so at peace
Yeah,
because I feel my higher power prepared me for what I was about to go through.
yeah,
I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was at such peace. And I really thought it was going to change once they wheeled me into the surgical room, right? And they
yeah,
put my leg up on the freaking stirrup. And I'm looking at my leg going, this is the last time I want to see this leg,
yeah,
a part of it.
yeah,
And I remember telling my leg, thank you. I remember saying thank you for 61 years of abuse because I played hard in my sports. I done
yeah,
a lot of hiking, a lot of hunting. I put my legs through a lot of abuse and it got me through it.
yeah,
And so when I lost my leg and I had those moments of feeling sorry for myself and that self-pity and I knew what I didn't want to go back to because I had worked so hard to get myself out of that.
mm,
You live the majority of your life as a victim,
yeah,
then you work your way out of it, and you've only been out of it for a short time. Once you taste it, at least it was for me, I wasn't going to go back.
yeah, yeah,
And I think that was what helped me with my drive. You know, um, I remember the first time they came to get me to get up and walk. And the nurse that my physical therapist says, okay, we're going to do a walker. She tied her belt around me to hold me. I'm hopping on one leg while I'm using this walker. And she goes, all we're going to do is we're going to just go out and we're going to go down the hall a little ways and we're going to turn around. We're going to come back. We got out of the room. We started going down the hall. And I said, oh, she goes, are you ready to go back? And I said, no, I'm not. It's like what you talked about when you fell on your bike and hurt your.
yeah,
I knew it was going to hurt. I knew I was going to wear my ass out because I had gone through like 5 surgeries, like in 6 weeks. My body was just shot because of all the medication being pumped in it and everything. And we did the half the floor. I pushed myself to do half the floor because I'm like, I am not going to go back in that freaking room. I'm going to make it through half this floor.
awesome,
The
awesome.
next day she came and she goes, are we going to do the half floor again today? Or are you pretty tired? I said,
Next
no,
level,
we're not,
next
we're not going
level.
to do, we're not going to do half the floor. She goes, that one wore you out, huh? I said, yeah, it wore me out, but we're doing the whole floor today. She goes,
I,
you've got to be kidding me. I says, no. She goes, let's just see how far you get. Sabin, I did that whole freaking floor.
I believe you.
And,
I believe you so much. Yeah,
and it just,
yeah,
I needed to do it for me
yeah,
to keep me where I wanted to go because I wanted to get my life back as quick as possible. I
yeah.
even had weights brought up to my room. I mean, the third day or fourth day, I had my physical therapist bring some weights and set them by my bed. And I remember waking up in the morning and I'm looking down and here it comes again, man. The tears are flowing. I'm crying. I'm starting to feel sorry for myself again. I could feel my brain going back to being the victim, right? It's like, how dare this person do this to me? And just, and then I
Yeah.
went, oh, freaking no, 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 no. I'm not going there. And so I looked down and I grabbed the weights and I scooted myself to the edge of my bed and I started doing curls. And it was a 10-pound weights, but I was still doing some movement. And my
Yes.
nurse walked in And Sabin, she stopped dead in her tracks. And it's like I watched her chin bounce off the floor. She's like, the hell are you doing? I said, I'm working out. She goes, I have been a nurse for 20 years and I've never seen anybody lift weights in their bed before. And I'm like, I have to do this to keep me where I want to go because it's so quick. It happens within seconds. It's so quick to fall back into that freaking rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And then we have to work our ass off to get us back out. I already
Yeah.
worked my ass off. I wasn't going to go back. I wanted
It's
to work
never
my
ends.
ass off in a different way, right?
It never ends. It will always, it's like this dark shadow that will jump out. And when you least expect it, it's just you never know when it's always there.
Mhm.
And this is the work that we have to do on it's a daily basis thing.
Yeah.
You cannot, we have to surround ourselves with people that have the same vision that we do. And because then you are not polluted with the concept. You have to be discerning about the energy that's around you because you are looking for elevation. And here's the words, rise to the occasion. That's what it is. Rise to the occasion. And
Yep.
it touches my heart because I always rise to the occasion. You have to do that.
You have to. I mean,
Yeah.
well, you don't. I mean, but you
Ah, I
do,
can't go
right?
the other place. I cannot go
Right.
in the other place.
Yep.
I just can't do it because it feels so bad. And I think a lot of it is because we fight things in our past history that bring us back there. But if you think about it, like you're living in the present, if you cannot let your history be there in the present, you have to create that every moment, and that's why I like to be on the sharp end of the stick when that's why my sculpture is what it is. And that's why I'm 62 and I have more energy than 30-year-olds in the studio. They're like, what's going on with you? And it's because your mind will give out well before your physical body. So you work on your mind, your physical body will never, you probably could have done laps of that hospital floor if the stronger your mind had become.
Yeah.
This is the game here. This is where everything goes on. Your perception of reality is this, and you create your reality. Your belief system comes from your perception, and your perception is driven by your education and what you have taught yourself. It's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And that's exactly what my training is right now, right? I mean,
Yes.
we do. We control this. It doesn't control us. It really doesn't.
Yes.
And I had some of these thoughts a day ago, and I remember in the training, they're like, when you start getting those thoughts, sit with it and think, figure out where those are coming from, and you will realize it has come from your past.
Your history. Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the data that your brain has stored.
Right.
And when you start recognizing it, you start changing that story. So basically, it's basically you're these neurons that have been so strong in this negative way, you're now weakening them and you're building
Right.
stronger neurons, right? To
Right.
tell a different story, a better
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
But we're so full of it up here, we never will get through it the rest of our life. I mean, I doubt it. However, we can continue, like you said, we just continue to get better and grow and learn.
Well, I think we've both hit on the same chain here. You break those synapses in your brain through physical exertion because the physical exertion changes the chemistry in your body. And then now you have you've just let in a little light through the crack in the door. And so then now you subjugated your history because the chemistry has been changed in your body, and so there's an inkling of positivity that starts to creep in, and as soon as you get that little bing of positivity, you get that you can go down that path. And I
Mhm.
think that that's why working out is so critical because you also learn to be in the pain zone as well. Like, oh, this isn't killing me. This is fine. And it's the same thing with the emotional aspect. If you can deal with a little bit of pain in the emotional aspect, it's like, it's not killing me. oh, I'm okay. You can keep going.
Yeah.
And I think there's a very, very large correlation to actually moving our bodies. Um, and I think this is very problematic in how kids are taught in schools where they put little boys, they got to sit in a circle. Boys are not like that. We like to move as little kids. We got to go. And it's like that's not the way you should teach little boys. It's got to be a much more of a fit. There has to be more of a correlation between the mind and the heart, which is the body, the physicality. And it's like this is what our society is really taken a turn for the worse, where they told everybody that you can have a better life if you go to college. Well, most of the stuff in college is very cerebral, so it's not a mind-body connection. And I think we've been talking about for the last 45 minutes is this mind-body connection and how the emotions are so ingrained in our body. Um, it's just not the way to go. And I'm really enthusiastic about your podcast because it's a re-education of a lot of people. And I think we're having a paradigm shift. We're at the verge of this new awakening, a large part because people are beginning to see that, the media and society are full of hogwash in many ways. It's like let's just keep shoveling the fear and then everybody will get in line and this can I was not a political person at all as an artist until politics started getting in my lane in the art world. And then it was like, no, you're get out of my lane, get out of my way. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. That's why I became an artist because I want to. I don't think in the herd. I go outside the herd. I'm alone. I know how to be alone and follow the vision. And I think more and more people especially, and that's why I moved to Utah because Utah is full of entrepreneurship and like, let's make something, let's build something here. That's why I came here. It's not like that on the East Coast. East Coast is dying. It's decrepit. It's status quo. Nothing's moving. There's no light. There's no energy. And here, everything is. You get a sense of limitlessness here and expansion, and that's why I'm here to make the monument here, and that's why we're having this conversation, and that's why we met. And it's like we're two peas in a pod, but we're not the only two guys here. I'm
Right.
sure there's like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of others just like us here in Salt Lake that will not be contained, that will rise to the occasion when you got to.
Yeah. No, agreed. Because the majority of the people I hang with are this way,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because I want to surround, you said it just a little bit ago, surround ourselves with the same type of people because it helps us grow too, right? We help each other
Yes.
grow.
Yes.
That energy works together so much.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think a lot of us are breaking the chain. I've interviewed over 300 and something people on my
Wow.
show and people who have lived on the streets and been in prison and been in the gangs and drugs and alcohol and all kinds of stuff. And you see where they're at today. And they have beautiful families, beautiful kids and a loving spouse and they give back to the community and they want to help others. And we talk about it a lot on past shows about we break that chain. We
Yes.
break the chain, we start a new link, and now we're starting a healthier chain, right?
Yes.
Because now you've broken that to where we've all heard it, right? Addictions in the family, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
it's it's a family. I mean, it's they say it's hereditary, right? If someone in your family has addiction, you
Right.
have a good chance of having the addiction. It's not really from the DNA, it's because of what we see inside here, and
Yeah.
our brain connects with it, and we end up going that direction, you
Yeah.
know. But when someone says enough's enough and they cut that chain and they're like, I'm going to build my own damn chain and I'm going
Yeah.
to build it in a healthier way, all that's behind them, right?
Right.
Because I see my friends who I know from the recovery community and I see their families and I see the love and I see the care and I see the energy that they have. And I'm like, this is going to be a great family, right? Now, they're going to have their challenges, of course, because life throws
Of
that at us
course.
all the
Of
time.
course.
However, their kids now have a really good chance. a really good chance of not falling into what their parents fell into
Right.
because they broke it
Right.
and they're
I think
changing.
I think a large part of that is like you face this evil monster of victimization. I put being an addict, and I am the victim of my addiction, so I'm going to give in. I'm going to succumb to it, which is a weak mental space. You that may be your cross to bear, but it's critical that you become aware of it, and then you make the choice to not let it drag you down and make you the victim of those circumstances that you were handed at birth. And I think one of the things that we need to step forward is say, okay, you have the choice. It is in your hands. Make the correct choice. And that then now puts it into a empowerment mode. And the addiction process is no longer like, well, this is what I got, like you lost your leg. You didn't let that like slam you down to the ground. You're like moving. It's like, no, I'm going to proceed. I'm going to proceed forward. And both my parents are very different than I am. They're both PhDs. We think so differently. I believe in like free will. We have that's the gift we've been given in this country. You have the choice to decide what you will do with your life. You do not have to do what your parents did. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Break the chain and be your best version. And that requires you to deal with a little bit of suffering and be able to walk down a road in that space. So then you get the tools to be able to walk through that space, through that fire, so that you can become the best version of yourself. We all face that. We're all troubled human beings, every single damn one of us. But you
Yeah.
got to do that to go to the next level.
Amen. Amen to that. And that's what builds our strength. That's what builds our mind. Like you
Yeah.
said, that's what helps us get through another issue. I like to call them shitballs. Like when life
Yes.
throws a shitball hit and it slams you in the face, it's a little easier to clean off,
Yes.
because you've already been hit in the face many, many times, and
Right.
and
That's right.
when you said that, I don't know if you ever saw the movie with Steve Martin, The Jerk.
Yes.
Jerk, right? And
Yes.
there when he's losing everything, and my brother and I do this at work sometimes. It's like I'll go grab a shovel. I'm like, I don't need anything. I just need this shovel. That's all I need. Oh, and the wheelbarrow. That's all I. Oh, and the chair. Oh, and the stapler. And it's like we're gathering all these things. So as we're going through our life, we're gathering all these tools if we are really paying attention. We really open our minds and our eyes, and we start putting all these things in our tool pouch throughout our whole life. And there always seems now, at least being 62 myself, I get to a situation, it's like, I got a tool for this to help me get through it because I've done it before.
That's right.
I've done this before. So it really helps us, at least it has for me. It's helped me get through the next stage, whatever that next stage that God has put in front of me, because we're not here to walk a smooth path. And I say many times on my show too that I will continue to work on me until the day God calls me home. And I have lived more days than what I got left. And I'm going to make the best of every single freaking day that I can possible. And I've come to finally realize there's things I cannot control. And I do my best not to let it get to me, because if I can't control it, then why let it eat me up?
Why, what's the point?
What's the point, right? All
Yeah.
I'm doing is making that choice to put more pressure and more turmoil on me.
Yeah.
And life is hard enough as it is. I don't need to add to it.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, Sabin, gosh, that hour flew by quick, man.
Yeah,
But
it
what
was good. It was a very,
conversation?
very, very good conversation. I'm actually really proud of it. You were born in 63, is that right?
63. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So we're both born in 63.
Yeah.
And I really had a great time being and having this conversation with you. And I really hope that some people listen to it and we can help serve others.
Yeah. All it takes is one, right? If we touch one life, that ripple effect goes so much further than what both of us realize. That's really,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there any last thought you'd like to share with the listeners? Anything that comes to mind?
No, it's just I want to say when we go home, meaning we go meet our maker, I don't think you can kill energy. I think this is there. I really believe in your energy has to go someplace. And I believe that energy is our soul. And so that soul will continue in another body, in another generation in the future. So that's something I just wanted to say at the end.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And again, guys, I just want to say thank you to Emergo Academy. Again, Dave, Susan, Kenny, thank you guys so much for everything. Guys, check out emergoacademy.com. And if you're interested, man, reach out to these guys. They will definitely change your life. And I just want to say thank you to all our past guests, our future guests. Man, if it wasn't for you guys, this show wouldn't go on. And also to all our listeners, a huge thank you because you guys are the one that's keeping this going, in all honesty. I just came back from a recovery thing just yesterday, and I had two people come up who have listened to my shows and have told me thank you for what I'm doing. And it really makes you feel good when someone comes up and says, the person you had on my show said something that really changed my life. And again, that's what this is all about. Even if it's just one life, it goes so much further. So we're going to leave you with this as we do at the end of every show. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.